My name is Frank Lavin. I had the honor of working for Ronald Reagan for almost all of the 8 years he was president. I was in the White House. I began in the personnel office, then I was in the public liaison office, then I was at the National Security Council staff, and I ended up as White House political director for the final 2 years. Look, what was impressive to me about Ronald Reagan is he was a big picture guy. He had a vision, he had leadership, he had goals, but he also had incredible small picture capabilities. And so when he dealt with people at an individual level, he was fantastic. He didn't let that goal of how do we deal with the Soviet Union, he didn't let that negate or an excuse for saying I don't have to be polite to people. In fact, he liked meeting with people, and he was extraordinarily gracious and kind in meeting with people. He had been involved when he was in Hollywood and later on the Screen Actors Guild, he'd been involved in a number of charities, and a lot of other actors were as well. And he had a regular practice of Thursday afternoon bringing in a child who had been afflicted with the poster child for a disease or a condition, and the actor who was the sponsor or the headliner, the celebrity sponsor for it, and greeting them in the Oval Office. Then he would get down on one knee to greet the child at the child's level. And he would have a conversation. He said, got a great smile, a great voice, so really engaging the kid and give him some jelly beans. And so it's a nice gesture for the kid. Then he could stand up. Then he would greet the actor. Then he would greet the celebrity who's the headliner. Then he'd say, let's get a group photo for everybody here. But it was a wonderful way of just welcoming a kid who maybe didn't have a lot of love or a lot of attention in his life to the White House. His movie that got him into this, when Ronald Reagan was still acting, he starred in the movie Grover Cleveland Alexander, this famous baseball player who had epilepsy, and it did a lot to publicize the condition of epilepsy. And as a result, Reagan, as an actor, became honorary chair of the National Epilepsy Foundation. And he did fundraising and speaking, a lot of public awareness for a disease or condition that, had viewed as sort of an affliction, but he helped bring it into the sunlight. And he always kept that in his mind to say there are these medical conditions out there, and we've got to reach out to people who have these problems and bring them in. To my mind, the twin pillars of leadership is you have to be able to articulate a vision and you have to be able to create a consensus for action. And one without the other undermines your effort. So he had both that vision of where he wanted to take America and what kind of society he wanted, and he also knew he had to work at it to communicate and create that consensus that allowed the country to move ahead. So he had both those elements of leadership, and in retrospect you say, boy, this guy was really, really good at doing what he did.